Provincial Sales Tax, PST, in British Columbia. The Provincial Sales Tax, P in British Columbia, BC, Canada, has been a significant aspect of the province's taxation system, influencing both businesses and consumers alike. Introduction to the PST. The PST is a consumption tax levied by the provincial government on the purchase or lease of taxable goods and services in British Columbia. It operates alongside the Federal Goods and Services Tax, GST, creating a combined tax system known as the Harmonized Sales Tax, HST, in some provinces. However, BC reverted to a separate PST system in 2013 after a brief period of implementing the HST. Historical context. The history of the PST in British Columbia dates back to its introduction in the early 1940s. Initially, the tax was imposed on a limited range of goods, gradually expanding over the years to cover a broader spectrum of products and services. Various amendments and revisions have been made to the PST system throughout its history to adapt to changing economic conditions and government policies. Implementation and administration. The administration of the PST in BC involves both governmental agencies and businesses. The BC Ministry of Finance oversees the policy framework and legislative aspects of the tax, while the BC Revenue Services manages the collection and enforcement of the tax. Businesses operating in BC are responsible for registering for PST, collecting the tax on taxable sales, and remitting it to the government. Impact on businesses. The PST has a significant impact on businesses operating in British Columbia, particularly in terms of compliance costs, administrative burden, and pricing strategies. Businesses must accurately determine which goods and services are subject to PST, apply the appropriate tax rate, and maintain detailed records for reporting purposes. Failure to comply with PST regulations can result in penalties and fines. Impact on consumers. Consumers in British Columbia bear the ultimate burden of the PST, as they are required to pay the tax on taxable purchases. The PST adds to the overall cost of goods and services, affecting consumer purchasing behavior and spending patterns. However, certain goods and services may be exempt or zero-rated under the PST system, providing relief to consumers in certain cases. Controversies and challenges. The PST in BC has been subject to various controversies and challenges over the years. One of the most significant controversies was the introduction of the HST in 2010, which sparked widespread public backlash and ultimately led to a province-wide referendum, resulting in the reinstatement of the PST. Other challenges include concerns about tax fairness, economic efficiency, and the complexity of the tax system. Recent developments. In recent years, there have been several developments related to the PST in British Columbia. The provincial government has made adjustments to the PST system, including changes to tax rates, exemptions, and compliance requirements. Additionally, discussions continue regarding potential reforms to the taxation system to address emerging issues and enhance economic competitiveness. How much is PST? The Provincial Sales Tax, PST rate in British Columbia, Canada, is currently set at 7%. Zero-rated and exempt supplies for PST. In British Columbia, Canada, zero-rated supplies under the Provincial Sales Tax PST refer to goods and services that are taxable at a rate of 0%. These include certain basic groceries, prescription drugs, and exported goods. Exempt supplies, on the other hand, are goods and services that are not subject to PST at all. Examples of exempt supplies may include most health and medical services, certain educational services, and certain financial services. PST on imports and exports. In British Columbia, Canada, the Provincial Sales Tax PST applies to imports of taxable goods into the province. When importing goods into BC, businesses typically pay PST on the value of the goods at the time of importation. However, exports of goods from British Columbia generally do not incur PST, as the tax system usually zero-rates exports. This implies that although PST technically applies, it is levied at a 0% rate on exported goods. Who has to pay PST? In British Columbia, Canada, the Provincial Sales Tax, PST, is typically paid by consumers when they purchase taxable goods and services. Businesses registered for PST are responsible for collecting the tax from consumers on taxable sales and remitting it to the government. However, ultimately, it is the consumers who bear the burden of the PST, as they are the ones who pay the tax on their purchases. What is a PST number? The Government of British Columbia, Canada, issues a unique identifier known as a provincial sales tax number to businesses registered for PST purposes in the province. Businesses use this number to identify themselves for tax-related matters and to track their PST obligations. They must collect the provincial's tax on taxable sales and remit it to the government according to the prescribed regulations. Charging and collecting PST. Charging and collecting provincial sales tax (PST) in British Columbia involves several steps for businesses. Determine taxable sales. Businesses must first identify which goods and services are subject to PST under BC law. Not all items are taxable, and exemptions or zero rating may apply to certain goods and services. Calculate tax. Once the taxable items are identified, businesses calculate the PST rate applicable to those items. The current PST rate in British Columbia is 7%. Charge PST to customers. When selling taxable goods or services to customers, businesses must include the PST amount in the total price charged to the customer. The PST amount charged should be clearly indicated on invoices or receipts provided to the customer. Record keeping. Businesses must maintain accurate records of all PST collected from customers. This includes details of the sales transactions, such as the date, amount, and PST charged. Remit PST to government time. At regular intervals, typically monthly or quarterly, businesses must remit the PST collected from customers to the government. This involves filing PST returns and submitting the tax amount owed to the BC Ministry of Finance. Compliance. It's essential for businesses to comply with all PST regulations and requirements. This includes timely remittance of PST, accurate record keeping, and adherence to any updates or changes in PST laws. By following these steps, businesses can effectively charge and collect provincial sales tax in British Columbia while remaining compliant with provincial tax laws. ZoodCount can set up properly your PST for your business to have accurate book for their financial decisions.